Right guys, welcome to the channel. I hope you're having a great day. So today I thought I'd take you through how to tune the Cobra Fi2000R O2 fuel controller. Recently, as I've been riding, my miles per gallon's not been the greatest, and every now and then on the deacceleration, I've been smelling a tiny bit of fuel, so I think I may have too much fuel going through my system, so it's running a little bit rich at the moment. As I was trying to set this up before, I've only ever gone off of guidelines on the internet, and I looked through YouTube, and there is not one video on YouTube on how to set up the Cobra Commander. I mean, there's lots of different things on different forums of settings that people have tried, but for my particular setup, there was nothing on there. I've only been going off of what other people have been putting online. So I thought I'd read up a little bit more on how to tune it and what each pot does on the actual tuner, and then actually just come out myself and do it. Weather's a little bit crap at the moment, as you can see. It's been raining. It is now, it's about 7:30 now in the evening. So it's not been the greatest weather today, so I've not really been able to come out and do it. But what it is, I'll put little pictures up there because I can't be bothered to stop and get photos of it. But you've got three pots. You've got a green pot, you've got a yellow pot, and you have a red pot. The green pot, depending on obviously your model of the bike and whether you're running through the O2 sensor or not, generally affects your idle. Oh, I'll let this go through. As I was saying, the green pot affects your idle and your cruising ability. So if for any reason you've got any surge in or it's not idling right, then you can turn that up or down as needed. The yellow pot, which is your second pot, that affects your throttle response and how much fuel is delivered when you fully kind of engage the throttle like so. It affects your responsiveness of that. And the third part, the red part, affects how much fuel is delivered anywhere above 4,000 revs. So for example, you're in third and fourth and you're hard hitting the acceleration. As soon as you get past 4,000, that's when the controller takes over and delivers more fuel if needed. But I say I've never actually really gone out and done set it up how I was supposed to. So I thought I'd record myself doing it now and setting it up. And the way I've got it currently set up feels fine, and the bike's very responsive and very quick, but I think it can be better and hopefully get me a little bit better MPG. So as the instructions state, when you're tuning it, when you're installing it, you're supposed to ride the bike for 15 minutes so the engine's properly warmed up at different speeds, and then you can make adjustments, but only half an adjustment at a time. So, say for example, each part at the moment you've got settings from 1 to 10, and then you can only move the setting up each time half a setting. But between each time that you actually do it, you have to turn the engine off. You make the adjustment, turn the engine back on, leave it to turn over properly, start the engine up and ride off. So first what I'm going to do, I'm going to let the engine warm up a bit, and then I'm going to completely reset the tuner. I'm going to reset it so everything's back down to the what the stock says it's supposed to be, which I believe is something like 231 or something like, I can't remember. I'll put it in the description or on the screen what the stock setting says it's supposed to be if you've got an aftermarket exhaust and air cleaner. And then from there I'm going to pull off in first, and I'm going to be at cruising speed, and I am going to test them actual settings of cruising speed, see if there's any surging like there was previously, and then rather than keep adjusting it until all my deacceleration popping's gone, I am going to do it until there is no surging at all. Once I've got that set up, I'm going to go on to pot 2 and do some harder, well not some harder, I'd say yeah, a little bit harder pulls in third and fourth gear. I am going to, well, this road here, it's actually going to be this one, I'm going to be riding up and down because it's a 50-mile-an-hour road, doing some hard pulls, and then from what the suggested settings says it should be in the manual, I am going to tune it from there just to see where the actual point of it changing stops. So I'll keep changing it and adjusting it until I feel no extra responsiveness on the throttle. Then once I've done that, I'm going to do some very hard pulls in higher revs in third gear, and then I'm going to do the same in fourth, and then I'm going to do the same in fifth, just on that same road. I'm going to keep adjusting that until I don't feel any more response or any more power. As soon as I don't feel any more, then I'm going to stop, and then I should have set it up correctly. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to skip to the part of the video where the bike's warmed up properly, and we'll start the adjustments. Alright guys, I went to go and check my phone to see what the stock settings were, which I can't actually remember. My phone went and died, so it's a bit messy under here. But I have just changed it to 212 on the pots, and I'll put a little picture up on the screen so you can actually see what the pots look like. So I've changed it to 212, which is lower than what I think the settings said it should be in the manual. But what I'm going to do now, I am going to ride around and check that I'm getting no surge in. I'm going to keep adjusting pot 1 until it's correct. I mean, it might be fine on 2, it might need to go back up to 3 what it was on. So I'm just going to keep riding around and changing it until there's no surge in, and then I'm going to go to the second pot and do some harder pulls and keep adjusting that until I feel nothing else is being added to the performance, and then finally I'll go on to the third pot. So I'll just check that it's going to start up now. There you go, full check's done. I'll tell you what is weird is actually the fact that it makes the bike sound a little bit different as well when you adjust it. So I'm going to leave that run for a minute or so for it to kind of make the changes, and then I am going to ride it to see if there's any surging. If there's no surging at the 2 setting, I may go down to 1.5, because obviously the higher the setting, the more fuel's being added, and I want as little fuel add in as needed. I only want the correct amount. I mean, I could take this to a dyno to do, but they charge through the roof for something that I can try myself. So that's settled back down to normal, so I'm going to pull off now and see how much surging there is, just riding normally at a constant speed in second, in third, and then in fourth. It won't really make much difference in fifth if the rest are fine. I'll wait for this car to go, and then at least I've got nothing creeping up behind me. So first I'm going to try second at 20 mile an hour, see if there's any surging. There don't seem to be anything at 20 mile an hour, so let's try 30 in third. I'm doing 30 mile an hour in third. Looks like this car go past me. I tell you what, the acceleration feels a bit different now. I've dropped all the pots down. They were quite high before, so right, 30 in third. I mean, I don't feel any surging, it's not jolting a little bit how it did before I put the tuner in. Because in fourth I didn't really have any issues, it was mainly in second and in third that had the issues. It doesn't feel how it did before, it felt overly responsive before I just took all them settings down. In a second I'll try it in fourth, just to see if there's anything, because I mean at the moment it's, pot 1, all the pot 1 does, it dumps a little bit more fuel if it's needed, but apparently when you've got an oxygen sensor you don't really need that. But these exhausts are 2.5 inch, pretty much straight through exhausts, and there's 2 of them as well, and the Hypercharger lets a silly amount of air in as well. Their recommended settings is if you're going off a Cobra exhaust and a Cobra air intake. And to be honest, that feels fine as it is, so I've knocked one full movement off the dial, so that should be adding a lot less fuel in, and it seems to be running fine with no surging. So on to pot 3, pot 2 even. Shouldn't really be adjusting it here because I'm on a junction, but sod it. I just thought I didn't actually test how the responsiveness was in third and fourth, so I'll go and do that now, and then I'll come back to this spot and adjust as is needed. So it does feel responsive, but not as responsive as it was before. again. Now I think I need to go up a little bit higher. It doesn't feel as, let's say, as instantaneous as when I pulled on the throttle just then like that. So I'll go down here and I'll turn it up one, and then I'll try it again. Alright, so yeah, now I'm going to turn up pot 2 to see if there's any more responsiveness coming out of the throttle when I accelerate. But there's too many wires under here. Alright, so now it's on. Oh no, I had it on 1. That's probably why it wasn't as responsive. I'm going to go straight from 1 to 2 to see if that is any different. Let's see if that's turning on okay. Yep, all still's turning on fine. So I've moved pot 2 up from 1 to 2, and I'll start it up now, then we'll see if the throttle is any more responsive. Oh bloody hell, I can feel that straight away, and that's just in first. If I move the throttle a tiny bit, it's like somewhat instantaneous now. Well, we'll see what it's like on the general acceleration on the pulls. Let's slow down a bit and try that again. That definitely already feels like there's a little bit more power. I think that lady who just passed on the right is getting pissed off at me because dogs don't like my bike. I don't really want to go too high on the rev range, because that's where pot 3 kicks in. Let's try it there, low rev and pull. I could do with it being a bit more instantaneous than that, so I'll turn it up a little bit more. So currently settings wise it's on 2 to 1.5, I think it is. So I'm going to go like that 2.5 now and see what that's like pulling. Again, I'm just going to check to make sure that it actually cycles through. Yep, that cycled properly. Alright, so I'll give it a minute to figure out what's just been changed. So I'll pull off and see if the throttle feels any more responsive than what it just did. Actually, generally, just pulling off like that, it feels exactly the same on 2.5 as it did 2. So let's try on here. Bloody hell, that feels a lot more instantaneous. A lot more instantaneous. That's only up half the position. Bloody hell. So I'll try the same again. When I get down to the bottom, I'll come all the way back up again, and I'll do the same. But I'll move it up half and see if there's any difference. And if there is no more difference, then what I'll do, I'll move it back down to what this was. Because again, I don't want to be adding more fuel than is needed. Bloody hell, that does feel a lot more responsive. Let's try it again. Let's try a 5th pull. 5th pull in low revs, that's pretty good. Let's try 4th. Really does feel instant. Let's try again. It actually feels a lot nicer now than it did before I started adjusting it properly. Bloody hell, that really is instant. Right, so I'll move it up a little bit more and see if that makes any difference. So right, yeah, the second pot is currently on 2.5. I'm going to put it up to 3. Let's see how we go on that. Right, let's start it up, see how she sounds. Alright, actually sounds about ready. Let's see if it has made any improvement. If it's not made any improvement, then I'll go back down half. If it has, then I'm going to go up half again to see if that makes any improvement. I'm just going to keep going until I can't feel any difference in the bike. Right, third normal revs. Okay. Right, okay, that has made a difference. In fifth feels about the same. Let's go back down to fourth in 40. Right, yeah, that definitely has made a bit of a difference. Let's try third and fourth. That is instant. So let's try going up another half. I don't think it's really going up any more than this, because on a lot of the forums most people stop at 3.5. So I'm currently on 3. I'm hoping that this next half doesn't really make much difference, because if it doesn't, then it's just adding more fuel than is actually needed, which is obviously what was happening before when I was smelling a bit more fuel. Okay, that feels a bit weird already. Second and third felt about the same then as it did before. Let's try fourth in 40. Back to third in 30. See if that makes any difference. Not really. But it, I can't really tell. No, I don't think it's made any difference. So I'll turn that back down halfway. Right, so that time I moved it up another half a notch, and it didn't seem to make really any difference. And I think any difference it might make, it might be just kind of forcing it a little bit. So I think that was fine before. I'll go back down to 3 on that. So now that's on 2 on the third pot. So I'm going to go back down to them country roads, on which are a 50, because this one's only a 40. And I am going to do some harder pulls in third and fourth, but in the higher revs. So let's check that that is cycling. That's fine. Right, so I'm going to do a couple of harder pulls a bit up the road as well. Just up the bridge area there, because that's a 60. I'll do a hard pull there just to see what it's like, but then I'll do a little bit more on the country roads as well. I'll go and try that now. So just while I'm going slow, I've noticed a little bit of the pop-ins there already now. On low gear deceleration, if I just let go of the throttle, there's a tiny amount of more popping than what there was before, but I don't mind that. That just seems to be like somewhat natural popping that the bike did before this exhaust anyway. Let's try a bit of a 4000 RPM pull. Right, fuel lights come on. And that's come on at 111 miles, which is not good. Before I started faffing around with these settings, it was coming on at around 145, 150 miles, something like that. Again, in the instructions it states you should only go up half a setting at a time. So if for any reason you're adjusting yours and something goes wrong because you've gone up a full stop, I am not responsible. That's on 3 now, on the higher RPM setting, so I am going to go and test that now again, see if it's cycling. I'm going to go and test that now. What are they doing? I'll just wait for that to settle and then I'll pull off and see if there's any difference. Right, higher RPM pulls. Oh, that's okay, that's made a difference. Yeah, that's made a difference. I'll try it again on the next straight. So it's around 4,000 RPM that kicks in, and you're supposed to test it with higher gears. So I'm going to go right and then turn round and come back down this way, so I've got a longer stretch to thrash it down. Again, I'm going to go up a whole setting rather than just half, how you're supposed to. So it's getting a bit dark now, so I better hurry up really. Okay, I've just gone back up to probably around 4,000 now. And yes, it's a little bit more than what it was just before I adjusted it, but not by a lot. So I don't really think it's going to need turning up much more, but I'll try it on the neck, going up another half. Right, that's 4,000 revs now anyway. Let's try it after this bit. It does feel like there's a little bit more than what there was before, but again, not by much. I'm going to let this car go past me because he seems a little bit suspicious. I was going a little bit faster than what this road was, and I wasn't sure if it was a cop or not. That just feels amazing, that pull then. I'll pull in here and I'll go up another half. Actually, unless I just try one more full setting. Alright, so that was on 4. I don't want to, yeah, 4, so I'm going to go up to 5. You know, all that time it's been getting a bit more performance. I wasn't going up to 5 at all. I went up to 9. That's on 10. Go to 9, back to 9. Right, so it turns out I'm such an idiot. It turns out at the start I reset pot 1 and I reset pot 2, and I didn't reset pot 3. Pot 3 before, I think it was on 7. I think I reset to 6 or so. I don't know what I set it to anyway. Yeah, so I turned it down a bit, but not by a lot. Anyway, I've been turning it up a little bit and a little bit, feeling a bit of difference, and now it's on 1 below the max setting, which is 9. That's And I was feeling an improvement when I was turning it up. So this, in theory, must be running around, I reckon between 90 and 95 brake horsepower now. Like I said, I've got friends that have got the same bike. Some of them have got the cruisers, some of them don't. Some of them have the custom version. Some of them have got slip-ons just with the air filter change, and they're running late 80 horsepower. Others have got a decent exhaust just with a K&N Filter on, and they're running closer to the 90. Then I've got another friend who has the same version of this. He has the 2009 model. This is a 2008, and he has the 3-inch straights version that I've got, and he has a Cobra Power Pro intake. And at the dyno, I think he was on 92 or 93 horsepower. So I'm running a very similar system, but my exhaust is designed for drag, which there's a lot more back pressure in mine than what there is his. So I'm assuming on that theory that I'm running between 90 and 95 brake horsepower, and it says in the manual for 100 brake going to the rear wheel, you have it on setting 10. So I've put mine on 9 now, which I didn't realise I had kind of got to. And I'm going to see what that's like, and if that feels good going further down there, I'll leave it at that. Got mud on my bloody floorboards now. Alright, let's give this a go. So bloody hell, some noise in that. Leave my settings there. So there is a bit more popping now. I can completely eliminate the popping just by turning pop 1 up a bit. Look, it's not surging when I'm accelerating. Idle sounds nice, so I'm just not going to bother because it was using a lot of fuel before. Actually, why I'm here, I very rarely fully thrash it like that, so I think I may just turn that rear pot down half and leave it there. Because before I turned it up to 8, and then when I turned it up to, I turned it up to 8, and then when I tried to turn it up a couple, it was on the max, which was 10, so I've put it back down to 9, and that there felt great, but from the previous run, it doesn't feel much different. So that's on 9 now, so I'm going to put it at 8.5. So that now should be, when I get to 4,000 RPM and I'm full on throttling it, because this only goes to just over 6,000, that should now be dumping enough fuel in. Idle and cruise speed, which is 1.5 to 3,000 revs. It's going to be delivering less fuel than what it was previously, so hopefully that I'm cruising a lot of the time anyway. It's very rarely that I'm thrashing it everywhere. So that now is on 2, whereas before I think I had it on 3.5 or 4 or something like that. The second pot is now on 3, whereas before I think I had it on 4, and the final pot is on 8.5. So let's put this away. Right, everything's all tucked away. See it back on properly. Alright, we'll give this the final go, see if it turns over alright. It's got through its checks. As the seat's all the way in. Right, so I get my gloves on now, go and give this a final test, and then I'll go and fill up with fuel, and then I'll be able to give you an update after I've lost that tank of fuel, just to see if the mile per gallon's actually changed at all. Right, so just a brief summary before we pull off on how to set up your Cobra Fi2000R, or whether it's the O2 model or not. Your first pot is dedicated to your idle speed if you've not got an O2 sensor fitted. If you've got an O2 sensor fitted, it's to stop any surging or any problems whilst at cruising speed. So what you do, you make sure your engine's warmed up, riding for 10 to 15 minutes, make sure it's warmed up properly, then you turn your engine off. Then you have the pots set up at the recommended setting for what aftermarket parts you've got on your bike, which comes in the instructions. If you've got a little bit of surging still, you turn pot 1 up by half a stop. You turn the engine back on, let it cycle through, you pull off and you test it. And if it's still got a bit of surging, you stop again. And you keep repeating the process till the surging's gone. If you've got a lot of popping, a trailing popping on acceleration, that's what pot 1's for as well. It also cuts out a lot of the popping on deacceleration, but it doesn't do it on heavy deacceleration if you've rev match, for example. Once you've done that, you go on to pot 2. Pot 2 is your throttle response, so you have it on the recommended setting, you go for a quick minute ride just so you can see what it feels like, and then you move it up half a stop. And if you feel that's made a little bit of a difference, you ride a bit more. Then what you do, you stop, engine off again, turn it up another half a stop, and you keep doing this until you feel no more improvements. As soon as you feel no more improvements, you turn it back to what the previous one was, where the improvement was left at, and then you move on to the third pot. The third pot, the red pot, that is for anything above 4,000 RPM, primarily in second onwards. So the fourth pot, you leave it at the recommended setting, and then you turn it up half a stop. But it says half a stop, I've been turning it up 1 stop. So you turn it up half a stop, and then you do a couple of harder pulls where you're roughly around 4,000 RPM and higher. And you keep doing this until you feel no more improvement. So I've put it back down to 9, because I went up 2 stops, and that felt roughly the same as what it was at 8.5. So I put it back at 8.5, and I think I'll be happy with that now. I'm going to go for a little test ride home. I'm going to fill up, and then hopefully it will make some sort of a difference to my general riding experience and to miles per gallon, obviously depending on how I ride as well. So I'll wait for this car to go past, and then I'll give it a little go. It feels absolutely beautiful. It does, it feels really nice, very, very smooth in the acceleration and the throttle response now. So maybe before one of the pots was a bit iffy, but now all of them are kind of balanced together. This is the first time I've actually come out and tried all 3. I've always adjusted one a little bit more than the other compared to what I've read on the internet. But obviously I'll put more information in the description. I'm off to go and fill up now. I'm hoping it makes some sort of a difference, but general power, it feels like it's got a lot more oomph, like when you've really throttled it, really goes some. Even just slowing down the gears, then it just didn't feel like there was no bogging or anything. So it's getting quite dark, so I'll leave it there. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did and it's helped you out, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. If you want to see any more of the videos, click on channel and clip videos and they're all there. Right, take care all, have a good day and ride safe.